Good day to everybody in TV land. This is Mike Hittner with Historic Point Basse Update. Today with me on my right is Tom Brehmer. Welcome, Tom.
Good afternoon.
And we're filming in May, and we're going to be talking about our number one event all year long is our Point Basse Pioneer Festival, which will be June 11th and 12th, a Saturday and Sunday. 10 to 4 or 10 to 5 on Saturday, 10 to 4 on Sunday. Admission $5 for adults, $2 for students. And Tom, I think it's a good time to talk about when you come through, ask about our policy of membership.
Oh, yeah. If you're a Point Basse member, a current member of our association, you show your card and your family gets in for free.
Yeah. Or you can also
buy a membership at the gate.
There.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
You can buy a membership. It's $25. And then you get into our events on the site for a whole year for free. So,
it's quite a bargain. If you had 2 or 3 kids, it would cover it right there for the Point Basse Pioneer Festival. And then in July we got Whodunit, and in September we've got Harvest Fair, Spirit Walks in October, and then Heritage Holiday in December. So all those events are free with the family membership. So when you think about it, they'll have membership cards and everything at the gate. If you think about it, it's a good opportunity to partake of that. We've kind of encouraged it probably the last 3 or 4 years, but I want you to be knowledgeable about it yourself. This is our major event of the year, folks. This is the event that I think this is our 30th,
I believe you
30th festival. Back in the early years when we really didn't have a site to tour, this was kind of the event that kind of held it together and got people knowledgeable about what we were trying to do there, because it was probably 7 or 8 years before we actually had some buildings they could tour, and the house was down on its foundation and people could look at it and in its disrepair at that point, and really the house has only been finished about 5 or 6 years, really.
that was not the good old days.
No. A lot of progress was happened, but when we're looking back, it was pretty raw in those days. So this is our festival. We highlight a lot of different crafts and trades. Just to give you an idea, I've got a list here. I don't have it memorized, otherwise I wouldn't use this cue card here, but we're having spinning, vertical loom weaving, rope making, tatting, muzzle loader, building, basket weaving, blacksmith, money on the frontier. Get a kind of lesson on what kind of money they used when they did use money, as you know from Tom's character, Pierre Charette. In the trader's cabin, they do more bartering, but at some points in time they did use money. And quilting, Dakota people and fur trade, teepee tour, cooking, cast iron cooking. Tom, let's talk a little bit about, we have a cast iron cooking contest. It's on Saturday only, and it commences at 4 o'clock. It starts, actually, the cooking starts at noon, but at 4 o'clock they have they pick up your bowls and start judging.
What you do as the public, when you come in there, we have the Point Basse store, which we kind of sell all the things that are going on there. Something you can do. You can buy a handcrafted ceramic bowl, food safe glazed bowl, made on the site, and it's $6.
Yes.
And then you bring your bowl at 4 o'clock to the cabin, and there'll be some ladies there that will get you started, and you get to sample all the dishes from the people in the cast iron chef cooking contest.
And now when we're talking about dishes, Tom, we're talking about everything from like bread, the main courses, to desserts.
Right,
They're all different categories.
Right. And the thing that we're encouraging is that those of you who do Dutch oven cooking, for instance, with your family camping outings, you can come also and join in the cooking contest. Now, granted, other than a trophy, traveling trophy that we have for the best of the whole year, most of what you win is bragging rights and your own satisfaction that you did well.
Right.
But the public can also bring their Dutch ovens and their food. There's plenty of places to cook, and you can come and join in the contest if you wish.
What's, Thomas, some of the basic rules for it? I know you start at noon.
Yep. You have to use foods and methods that were, or no, the method has to be before 1860. So we're talking grilling or Dutch oven, mostly Dutch oven. That's the vast majority of it. You can bake bread. We've had pies. We've had all kinds of hot dishes, one pot meal things. You can use canned foods if you want. We're pretty liberal with that. You use either regular open fire or natural lump charcoal fire. The natural lump charcoal, you have to bring firewood. We have, so you build your fire, cook your stuff. The people that are camped there, many of them participate now in the contest, and then at 4 o'clock, if you bought a bowl, you come in, sample the dishes, and you vote. You're the judge. And then at our potluck dinner, which is at 6 o'clock that evening, after most of the public has gone home, we have a potluck dinner, and then we will hand out the prizes for the cooking contest at that time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and then actually it's an offshoot of a cooking class that we do in September. Tom does in September. What is it, the 4 Tuesdays of September and 1 of October or something like that?
Towards the end of October, first part of November. End of September, first part of October.
And that's a cooking class that's gone on, and it's really expanded. I think we've got a lot of good volunteers out of it.
My.
And that part of that is that this cooking contest at the festival is an offshoot of that. And someday I would hope, and not too many years down the road, we're going to put together the recipes from that and then have a booklet available of cast iron cooking recipes.
That's in the works, but like our buildings, you're not sure what October they're going to come in.
Right. They're going to be done in the fall, but as Tom says, but we don't know which fall sort of thing. So that's something to look for, and that's on Saturday only. It's not on Sunday. So, and then we're going to have a whip demonstration, finger weaving, sewing, making cordage, knitting. We have canoe rides. Canoe rides, I think, are $1.
I believe that's correct.
$1. You can get your tickets at the same place at the Point Basse store where you pick up your bowl if you want to join the judging for the cooking contest and the tasting. Shoe shining, snowshoe making. So you can see a lot of the crafts of the 1840s, 50s, and 60s that are available there that you can partake of and see, and that's the great part of it. Also, one of the unique things we have is we have our own cancellation. For about 25 years now, we've had our own cancellation. So I just took back to Lori Tempest as a teacher at the high school level in art, and she has her students pick a theme, or we give them a theme, and they follow that theme through. So we have an envelope which has a cachet, has a drawing on it, a pen and ink drawing. And then there's also a cancellation done by the students, and that all goes to the Nakusa post office, but we have our own specific cancellation on that Saturday, and then you can also pick up the canceled cachets on Sunday also. I didn't think this was such a big thing, Tom, but one time I was gone, and one year, and then the next year I had to collect all the mail, and we got requests from France and from Canada and from all over the United States that they wanted one of these cachets. I guess if you're into collecting stamps, which I'm not, but a lot of people are, they send for these things to get these first day cancellations and all that sort of thing. And so it's a big thing. It's a thing we've carried on as a tradition, carrying forward for what Robert Wakely was postmaster from 1845 to 1850. We're just carrying it into the present. And as far as I know, I don't think I've seen another site that does something like this. Now, some bigger sites might have their actually own post office there. When you get down to Indiana, some of the bigger ones, in Indiana may have their own post office, but that's an everyday affair. But I don't know if too many are heard of anybody that does a one-day single cancellation.
And we are a substation of the Nakusa Post Office for that one day.
Yeah, and Skip Johnson and his family in the past has kind of taken charge of that, and they've got the cachet, will be this year, maple tree that's tapped and a wood bucket there with the maple sap dripping into the bucket, and then a axe, which goes with the wood sort of thing. That'll be the cancellation. We have to have a little bit simpler things on the cancellation because the post office department has to make that stamp. That's sent to Milwaukee, and they make that stamp, and if you get too complicated, it doesn't work too good. So another nice benefit, look for that. The post office is usually between the 3-bay shed and the blacksmith shop over in that area, and Skip Johnson runs that, and you can get over there and see the postmaster for the weekend, and he'll help take care of that. Tom, we've got basically a event that is got all the accoutrements that you might need. If your family wants to come down there, we provide food. We got beverages, so if you come there, you can stay 1 hour, or you can stay the whole day, because we have all that. Have you got your menu lined up?
Yeah, we met last week to kind of finalize as close as you can this far out. But we've done fry bread for Hittner from the beginning.
Right.
They're doing buffalo barbecue or buffalo burgers. We're doing barbecued raccoon sandwiches. We had some raccoons that were donated for our winter feast, and we didn't need them all. So we're going to use that. We're going to roast those and use them now. We've got a wild game serving permit. It's already in place, so we can do that. They're going to do some sausage, hot dogs, and brat deals. And you can do those. They have what they call a prairie dog and a prairie brat.
So they use the fry bread?
Fry bread
wrap
around the dog, and then they French fry the whole thing. And so it's a hot dog, pig in a blanket kind of
sort of
idea,
thing,
which are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't always sound, but it really is. We're doing Stevens Point soda and homemade lemonade. I believe they're going to do strawberry shortcake again.
Okay.
There will be some homemade cookies and other dessert that you can pick up that the members, kind of like a bake sale, but
They got pickle on a stick.
Pickle
they got
on a
these,
stick.
These great big old huge pickles with a stick put into them.
Baked beans and roast corn, charcoal roast corn.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's quite a menu. But they pull it off. We've got a good crew of people that really work hard for that couple of days.
And that crew has been consistently there for quite a few years, and so they kind of know how everything goes. And you got one gal that does the cashiering, and so it kind of is a pretty well-oiled machine there, sort of thing. So when you come down, besides bringing your inquisitiveness and your willingness to kind of learn some things and try some different things, bring your appetite with you, so we can certainly satisfy that. We're a family event. Years ago we had different inquiries from Miller or some of the different beer companies. They'd give you big signage and all this sort of thing, but we decided to keep it family oriented with not serving any alcohol, because sometimes that just doesn't mix, and so we've kept it that way over the years, and I think we did the right decision then. A lot of other organizations and groups and events have that available, and we know that certainly when you leave, you can go home and have a beer, or you can stop off and have a beer if you need a beer, but we don't serve that here other than root beer.
And a couple of historic events that did that are no longer there, and we're still there.
Yeah, after 30 years. So,
yeah.
And it's a great event for all of you to come down and enjoy. There'll be activities for the kids. Usually in the house, they'll have some kind of a craft or something that kids can color or do some picture or something like that. And there's tours of the house. All the buildings are open, the blacksmith shop, 3-bay shed, the barn, animals, Tom.
Oh, yes. We will have animals in the barn. I'm not exactly sure what yet. I know what we talked about with the fellow that provides that, and they'll be there. And they're very friendly, and these animals do this for a living.
Right.
While
they're used to people.
It's a local family that has a number of animals that they lend out for events like this, and they've been a real asset.
Yeah. Well, a barn without a little manure and it isn't a barn.
Well, you got to have a goat to chase around, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. What type of animals have we had traditionally in the past?
Usually horse, cow, some goats, sheep, that sort of thing. And some of the sheep are, they don't look like sheep. They're actually, the one breed is the Jacob's goat, which is ancient, old Middle Eastern, not wild sheep, but very
it's kind of heritage.
Yeah, heritage.
Varieties.
There you go. Thank you. Of goats, and the guys that are there have a working knowledge of that sort of thing. They're not, animal breeders or raisers,
Right.
But they can inform you a little bit about what's there and why it's there. There's plows in the garage, in the barn. They can grind some corn. They can shell some corn. That sort of a thing that the kids get kind of like.
Yeah, and we just Tom and I have just been through. We're doing this on a Tuesday. We've been through a group on Monday, today, tomorrow, and there'll be another group on Friday. So it's that spring of the year when we end up with four groups a week, and sometimes more depending on rainouts and that sort of thing. So it's a good event for kids, and I think at the festival I'm always amazed that when we have the children out there with the schools, and you're giving them some information and background and talking about this did this and that did that, that I'm always amazed when they come with grandma and grandpa or mom and dad for the festival. They're taking mom and dad around by the hand and saying, well, this is the grinder, this is where we do the corn and everything. And sometimes with those kids, I'm always amazed. I'm wondering sometimes, do they get anything out of this?
But they
But
do.
I'm amazed at how much they really actually absorb. It's kind of like unbeknownst to them that they gained a lot of knowledge there just from being there.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
We're also going to do fur trading.
Yes.
Children, I think it's 10 and under. I think
Yes.
that's it. I can't remember. When they come through the gate, they will receive a piece of fur. And when they get out by the fur trade cabin, there'll be several of us there, and we will barter with them for some candy or some beads. It's entertaining for them in a way, and yet it's also a little bit of education on how this works. Many times they haven't really been, especially the younger ones, have not been exposed to too much of the barter system.
Yeah, where you trade off
So
something.
we're kind of able to do that a little bit, and of course, mom and dad can help a little bit. In fact,
Some of them are pretty hard bargainers.
Oh yeah,
Especially
yeah.
mom and dad say, don't settle for one.
And that's all right. I'm sometimes almost, they say, well, I'll offer you one piece of candy, and they go, okay. And really the magic number is 2 or 3,
Right.
depending on how big and I want them to go, no, I can eat more. They'll, okay. And then mom and dad will sit there, and I'm going, come on, help me.
Say something,
They'll finally, they kind of get it, and then they'll encourage the kid to hold out for another piece.
Yeah. Well, and
It's fun.
And it's even amazing to me, and I think Tom can attest to this, certainly since he works in the cabin much more than anybody else does, that actually some of the kids want to keep that little patch of fur.
Yep.
And there's
that's fine.
probably half a dozen a day that just want to go home with their little piece of fur and keep it, and that's...
Knock yourself out.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, they don't want to trade because they find it more dear than what Pierre is offering in return.
What do you mean?
So, and also a good opportunity when you're out to see the gardens. We got a heritage garden, the Master Garden Club locally does. That is all planted in heritage plants, our vegetable garden. They do a wonderful job. That's just south of the house, between the house and the prairie. And take a look at that. There'll be some of those people there to interpret that a little bit. And then over by the school, they got what they call the quilt garden, and now a new butterfly garden. And they always do a beautiful job, and they've got it all well landscaped. Folks, you wouldn't hardly notice or conceive of the difference that it was before they came on board, as far as like plantings around the schoolhouse and in the garden and everything. Tom and I and several others made some attempts at that, but it was pretty vain attempts to try to do that. And these ladies do a wonderful job. And also on each day they'll be doing a little 45-minute informational thing on quilts and that sort of thing. Will be held by the schoolhouse, so that if there's inclement weather, they can go inside. But they've done a wonderful job. And just as a footnote to that, on July 9th, they're going to have the Master Gardeners has a garden tour. And Historic Point Basse is one of those stops on the garden tour this year. It's
too cool.
It's something I had been hoping for 2 or 3 years, but you have to apply a couple years in advance, and finally it's coming to fruition. When we have that garden tour, if you're on that, stop by and you can take a look at the gardens. We'll also have, since one's by the house and one's by the school, we'll have both the house and school open if you want to take a few minutes just to peek inside, because sometimes those garden tours draw people that don't normally come to our site, so it'll be nice. And just was talking to Libby Rosendick and from another garden club that is involved in our site and has been for probably 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
That she was meeting with Ken Ron, and they were going to redo some of the stuff in the entryway there where our sign is. Some of that was planted 20, 25 years ago, and it's a little bit run down, and so they're going to refurbish
Rejuvenate
that a
that,
little bit, and so that'll be a nice entryway.
And we've got our bunkhouse.
Yes.
Now, it's not going to be done. Oh, no.
It'll be done in fall.
What year? We don't know. But you'll be able to see the bunkhouse in progress. Now, we probably won't be building on it that day, but maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
But we have the roof is partially on. The side walls are up. They're not covered yet with siding, but we're working on it as we go along, and whatever stage it's in, when the festival comes, you'll be able to see it, kind of a skeleton version, and then next year, I'm sure, it'll be done by festival.
And the kind of interesting thing is, if you were here in the last fall, for the fall events, you would have noticed that we had the pillars in place for the foundation for it. And actually later in the fall, we had actually the timbers on there. But now it's progressed where there's a skeleton over that. We got about probably 1/3 of the roof done on the east side, the cedar shingle roof. And we'll probably have that done up to the peak. I don't think probably beyond that. One side will be done, one side won't be done. And I imagine there'll be maybe a couple, 3, 4 rows of siding maybe on it by that time. So you'll get a good idea. It's 16 by 24 feet. It's recreating a bunkhouse that the Wakeleys actually had on the property. We have historic records of that, and we have actually a kind of a rough picture of it that Wakeley employed seasonal workers, kind of like what we think of nowadays, people coming in to work for the harvest or whatever. He had them employed probably in his gunpowder pit and his shingle mill and different things like that. So the bunkhouse would maybe hold up to 8 people. It'd have a little heater in it, wood-burning stove, and just rudimentary kind of place for them to kind of eat and sleep and then work, and probably for 4 or 5 months of the year, and then they probably went back to wherever they were, downstream or upstream, whatever sort of thing. So it's another building, probably our last, I'm thinking our last major building on the site.
Thank you.
After this, maybe smokehouse or something like that, but it'd be all on a smaller scale. I think the only other building that we could possibly do that we know of would have been the inn, but it was located on property we don't own. It's north of the present day site, and it would have been on land that's owned today by Domtar. And with a very big building too.
And with the river levels being much different now than they were then because of the dams at Petenwell, I don't know that it's even possible to put it even close to where it was, because the water level is up that much, you know, because of Lake Petenwell. So, yeah.
So I think that one's for future leaders of Historic Point Basse. If they got that land someday in the future from Domtar or got a concession on it to do something like that, maybe they would like to do something, but I think it's beyond Tom and my scope for the foreseeable future. So the bunkhouse, and then maybe a couple other smaller projects. So it's kind of nice. I know a number of times over the years you've been able to see one building or another building being in the process of being put up, and so this is another opportunity for you to see that. We'll have a ribbon cutting, or what we call twine cutting ceremony, probably it would be there later this fall, or it'd probably be next spring or next summer at the festival, maybe that sort of thing. So it's one of those things that make it worthwhile to come to the site, because people are always amazed and say, "Oh, I didn't know you put a new building." If they hadn't been there for 2-3 years, all of a sudden they notice, "Oh, we got a warehouse now." And we didn't have that, and now people will see, well, you've got a bunkhouse started. So, I mean, that's all part of our evolution on the site, try to bring back probably what the Wakeleys had on the site, or as close to what we can remember or have proof of that they had on the site. So, Tom, you want to go over a little bit more some of the logistics of the site? We got free parking. They come in off of County Trunk Z. By the time you come, we probably should have a new sign. I don't know if it'll be working order, but we could probably have it with the letters
We
on
don't
it
have to
by
have
then.
it lit yet, but maybe, but we'll have a new sign, thanks to the Methuselah Board of Education.
Yeah, I think Humpke came from.
It's a used sign that they put a new one at Humpke School, and we were able to pick up the old sign, which is not that bad a shape. It's just not it's a more old-fashioned sign.
It's,
but
it's
that's
letters with lights behind it, so it'll actually show off, and we're going to electrify it. So when you're coming in the evening, especially like for our spirit walks, when you're driving by, you'll be able to see where we are. And some people have complained, and I think it's probably rightfully, that if you don't know exactly where the site is, it's easy to go by it.
Well, but you can come, you can park, to walk into the site. If you have mobility problems, you can be easily arranged to drive down to the end of the road and unload someone that has mobility problems. But our site is not
Handicapped
accessible.
accessible.
There's no paved areas, so wheelchairs and smaller wheeled walkers have a bit of a problem. Although we've had a number of people navigate the site quite readily. It just depends on their abilities.
We have basically 2 buildings that basically aren't handicapped accessible. The cabin and the house, the warehouse could be handicapped accessible, has a little bit of a ramp on it. I think the bunkhouse probably won't be handicapped accessible, but you can, on a festival like this, you can see so many other things. It's not a major issue, but you can get into the 3-bay shed, you can get into the barn, you can get into the blacksmith shop easily, and so that's not an issue. Plus all the other campers, there's probably 20 campers on the site.
And we're going to be making ice cream.
Yes.
And the carpenters will be working, and the sawyers will be there with their tools. Blacksmith will be working.
Yeah.
And if everything goes right, next week, we will have a soap making demonstration and a natural black walnut hull dyeing demonstration. I'm just saying that if everything goes right.
Yeah.
As we speak, I'm making lye at home with wood ashes.
For
and it's
soap.
working so far.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, cross your fingers, because we've not done this before successfully.
And then hopefully during the festival sometime we can be showing some of those demos and seeing how people do it. And Tom was speaking of the ice cream. We'll make ice cream on the site of the old hand cranked sort of thing. And we'll be using ice to cool it, and also cooling our beverages that we cut this winter and end of January off of Lake Nepco. So that's all stored in our ice house, packed with sawdust around it, waiting to be used. And Skip was there today, and he showed it to some of the students that were down. We had Riverview School from Wautoma today, and he stuck in a broom handle about 2 feet or so, and he hit ice in there, so there's ice in there, so we know that for sure. So a good opportunity to see how we use that ice on the site. So that'll be a good opportunity for you. So
there's lots of things to see.
So this is the historic Point Basse Pioneer Festival, Saturday, June 11th, Sunday, June 12th, 10 to 5 on Saturday, 10 to 4 on Sunday. $5 for adults, $2 for students. We welcome everyone. Free parking. We got food on the site. Lots of things for young kids to do, and We'll have some hawk throwing for the kids that are a little older.
11 and older. Yep.
We'll be doing that at certain times of the day. We're going to have canoe rides. We're going to have the master gardeners giving some demos about quilting, hopefully a little bit of soap making demonstration, maybe dyeing demonstrations at different times. So we'll have all that listed up on it and on a kind of a sheet with a map, and so that you know what times and where to go, because we don't want you to miss that if you're looking forward to doing some of that. So come out, Point Basse, for the Point Basse Pioneer Festival, and hope to see you all there. Thanks for coming on,
Yep,
Tom.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks, folks.